All right, it's 5:30 PM. Purpose of this hearing is for public comment in regard to fiscal year 22-23 budget amendment. If you have a electronic or telephonic comment, show by calling 276-333-0357. And there's no one in the audience. The only people that are present, Madam Clerk, for the record, are myself, Ms. Willis, Ms. Kaiser, Mr. Peters, Mr. Barton, and our council, Mr. Sturgill, and Economic Development Director, Ms. Cronkite.
Mr. Chair, on the first public hearing we have on the fiscal year 23 budget amendment, of course, with this, we're at an additional $6,325,634 in revenues to the general fund budget. Most of this comes from the coal and gas severance receipts. There's some opioid abatement funding and some other grant funding with that. And then we have offsetting expenditures for the general reassessment, salaries and benefits, and reserve for contingencies. So basically with these changes here, we added our revenues in, and then we had to back up with the raise that was given in November and December and add the changes from that back into the budget, as well as the general reassessment. At the time the budget was done originally, we were still in the procurement process on that and did not have a final amount on the reassessment. So we made all those changes, as well as some other minor changes that occurred through the year. The E911 budget, we added $150,339 in revenues from the general county fund, and also we had those same offsetting expenditures for salary and benefits and some other equipment costs. We also had the coal and gas road tax fund that we added $5,145,000 in revenues for coal and gas severance receipts. We had offsetting expenditures for road improvements, water and sewer projects, and for Visita. If any board members have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those for you.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. If you'd like to make a public comment via telephone, again, the phone number is 276-333-0357. Are you?
We have one person. Hello.
Ooh. Big rig, John, tell you about my big rig on the go-kart.
Yeah, I heard all about it. You wouldn't respond to
Before
my
that,
text?
that's the worst accident I've ever had.
Did you get their insurance information?
He sucked the breath out of my body.
Should have went to the hospital.
Huh?
Should have went to the urgent care.
I should have went, but I tried to. Nick said, "You don't need to go. You're not bruised." I said, "I'm sore as a bull. Still am." It's crazy.
You look tan.
Huh?
Said you look tan.
Well, I could burn up down there. Shoot far.
How'd you read?
I was in a go-kart with my grandchildren, and I lost control of it and hit a steel wall going about 30 miles an hour, and the seat belt come up and tore right through here. I had blood coming down through here. And when I stopped, I couldn't breathe. It took my breath. That's stupid.
Can't make that up.
Huh?
I said you can't make that
You
up.
can't make it up. That's Joe said, we had it on tape. I said, I know, it was Tara. That little Andrew sitting there, he never said a word.
Well, he never does.
I don't even think he moved. Tell me for him, and I hit. I'm telling you what's truth. He said, Memo, didn't you see them red lights? I said, no, I didn't see nothing. I bet y'all never getting another.
All right, one last time for public comments on our fiscal year 22-23 budget amendment. You can do those at the podium if you'd like, or by calling 276-333-0357. Any calls, Mr. Mullins? Y'all want to leave this public hearing open for a few more moments, or doesn't matter to me, whatever the pleasure of
It
the board
doesn't
is.
matter.
Time did y'all get back?
Flew. When?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Saturday.
we flew back to, there
Asheville.
was so glad to get off of you used to go down there, you step out the door, it sucks your breath out of your body.
Oh, the heat.
Yeah. I said, I'll not be back down here again, youngins. I got when we flew into Asheville and I walked out and 67 degrees, nice cool breeze, and you could see mountains. Of course, I've been to Florida about 7 or 8 times, but I'm not going back down there
A
unless
hard
it's,
time to go in June. It's-
unless it's emergency. Bunch of people running around like ain'ts trying to have a good time. Went to Orlando and Tampa, and the children went to see Universal Studios in Disney, and then we went to Animal Kingdom. I wouldn't walk out that door to see Universal Studios, but I didn't go that day, but Joe went. Come back with swords. You know them things they fight with, the force be with you.
Lightsaber.
I said, you ain't gonna get them back on the airplane. Yes, I will. And he did. Shut up. I said, no, I enjoy being with my grandbabies. That's about it. Went to the beach Saturday. It was so hot you couldn't stand it. I wallowed around in the surf like a big walrus. Finally, I said, Joe, let's get out of here. And we did. But it's the bumper to bumper traffic.
Oh, yeah.
I guess you stay at that big pink motel when you go down there, don't you, in Clearwater? $11,000
High.
a week.
No, it ain't that much.
Well, that's what they said. They was, how much is it? It's the high, yeah.
It's $400 or $500 a night, I think.
Lord mercy.
Where do you stay?
We rented the house. And the air conditioning, it wasn't up to snuff.
Oh, it couldn't keep up.
Couldn't keep
Oh,
up.
gosh.
Had 2 bathrooms in it, one of them overflowed twice. The plumber come out, he shut the door and stayed in there about 3 hours. I believe he slept. He said get paid by the hour. How'd y'all get all that cold cotton? Mine's the warmest. What? I mean, water. Where'd you get your water?
Downstairs.
Got a
Oh,
call.
I see.
Looks like we have one call, no name. They're unmuted now.
Okay, if you called in and you'd like to make a public comment on our budget amendment, you may do so. If you just please give your name and your address, please.
This is Gerald Gray on Eagle Rock in Glenwood.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I'd like to hear from each of the board members, their comments on the proposed amendment.
Do you have any other remark you'd like to make?
No, I think that you all should know more about this than we do. It'd be very helpful if each of the board members would make a public comment on the proposed amendment.
I think Larry just went over those. I don't know if he's listening or not.
I was listening. Does that mean that everybody on the board agrees with the amendment?
Yes, I do, because it's some additional things that we had got in, and we have to amend the budget in order to do those. I was looking at the amendments, it's on.
Well, it adds an additional
We're
$6
adding
million.
some additional revenue.
Why would we be against it? I mean, we would be for that, I would think. I'm for it.
14A.
I'll just say I am. It also, it says it would add $150,000 to the general county fund. I'm very pleased to say that this board has done very well with our general fund. We have a reserve that the auditors have suggested for the last 2 years. I think we have a reserve enough to last us for 3 months in case something were to happen, which I pray don't. So, of course,
Part of it was that OPID money that came in
the
after
opiate
we
money,
did the
yes,
budget.
I think we're making every effort we can to, as you all very well know, Jerry, to the rehab center, to help people with opiate or other addictions, alcohol or whatever it may be, to help them to recover and be productive citizens in this county.
And would that money then go to the cost of the construction of the facility?
No.
No,
No,
it
it
does
does
not.
not. We did use coal severance tax money to purchase the land. No, we didn't. We didn't use coal severance tax money.
No, we've not spent any of our opioid abatement funds right now. They're still being held right now.
Okay. But I'm talking about the rehab center.
Right. Yeah, nothing from the general fund budgets went into that, so.
Nothing from the
Not from
general
the general fund, but I'm talking from VC to our coal severance tax
Yes,
money
from
is what I
Vicita, yes,
said.
ma'am.
The coal severance tax money, we did use that to purchase the land and to help build, $4 million to help build the buildings. Yes, we
Correct.
did, not from the general fund. I hope I did, I don't think I said that. I think I said from the, I may have, but from the coal, from VC from our coal severance tax that we get. Our general fund is in very good shape.
Do you have any other public remark, Mr. Gray?
Well, it's unclear whether
Timer been running?
everyone on board.
What? What did he say? I got
It's
something.
unclear what.
Well, we
everyone on the
typically,
board
as you
Has approved
probably,
it.
as you probably well know, we don't typically use our public comment to debate. So if you would like to call us or stop by and see one of us at our house, we're more than happy to do that. If you, your 3 minutes is up, but I'm going to allow you any other public remark you would like to make before we end this public hearing. So do you have any other public comment you would like to make?
Well, once again, I would appreciate hearing from every board member, not just a few.
Is that the end of your public remarks?
That's the question I have. I'm waiting for an answer.
Who's this, Jerry?
Drill
Yes.
Gray.
Yeah, hey Jerry, this is Ron Peters. I'm not trying to be impolite. Yeah, you did ask, on the budget, it was a tight budget this year. And in it, we pulled out we had started down the road where we were starting to set money aside to replace garbage trucks, for instance, instead of buying hand-me-down trucks. We almost lost a driver last year. Now we cut all that out of this budget. No sheriff's vehicles in the budget. So it isn't that we're flushing money. So I don't want you to think that we are. We are doing okay in the general fund, but we're probably gonna forego doing mapping in the future. There's been a push, I think recently Wise County announced that they finally got everything over their GIS map, or pretty close to it. That's a long process, but we've not taken the steps to work that the right way. And we don't have the funding to plan for it anymore. We did up our rescue squads and fire departments, funding, but it's still not enough to really carry it, and the equipment costs that are there and stuff. And we had hoped that the money from the casino would go towards that area, because that area had never been funded properly the whole time I've been here. But we then at last minute had to use the $700,000 for that to go ahead and beef up, to give the school $500,000, and I think $200 to cover gaps in our budget. If I'm saying something inaccurate, please speak up.
So I guess your question was, I think, in typical condescending fashion that you usually speak to most people, was do we understand the budget amendment? And of course, Jerry, we follow the Dillon rule in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we're bound by statute in budgetary statutes, wherein we make budgets and our county administrator makes projections on revenues. And just so happens we got lucky, and coal severance and gas severance is exponentially higher than what our projections were. Therefore, we've had to statutorily amend our budget to the tune of $6,325,634,000. So yes, to answer your question, I do understand the budget amendment, and I'm going to vote to approve it. So I hope that answers your question. Your time is up, and I appreciate your call. You can end this call, Mr.
Thank
Mullins.
you.
That was gonna be my statement, was,
So we'll entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there, all those in favor of closing this public hearing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. That would bring us to our next public hearing, our Board of Supervisors salary ordinance. That public hearing will now be convened. If you would like to make a public comment on the salary ordinance that was advertised, you may do so by calling 276-333-0357 or approaching the podium and giving your name and address. And we'll push it up against the clock a little bit. We're 3 minutes behind. So I'll probably keep this one open until, well, we're okay actually.
Yep.
Till about 5:53.
Mr. Chair, for the benefit of the audience and those watching, we mentioned the salary ordinance is unchanged as it has been for several years. It's the same salary ordinance that the board has used. The rate of compensation is $5,500 annually, which is low compared to counties around us. That's basically it. There's no changes to this in many, many years, I think. So.
I would just like to say in knowing math and bookkeeping, $5,500 a year, and we get paid twice a month for 24 paydays in a 12-month period. Our gross pay before taxes is $229.16 a payday. So that is $458 and some odd cents a month before taxes. And we do have taxes that comes out on it. And, this one meeting a month is not our only meeting. We're in several meetings a month. either by phone or coming in for call meetings or other boards that we all serve on. And, so I know I've had one person in the 3.5 years that I have been on this board said, and that was just here a couple months ago, that you all make about $1,700 or more a month, don't you? And I said, no, I can pull my check stub and show you what we are paid. But now the chair and the vice chair does make a little bit more than that, but not tremendous amount of more, maybe $30 or $50 more on a month. But our basic pay is $229 a payday before taxes.
I draw $422 a month. I don't care to tell anybody, that's all I draw. And I usually end up giving that away with 7 grandchildren and, well, 2 grandchildren and 5 nieces and nephews. 2 of them in college, it goes like that. So it's not, that's the only thing that I draw. I've been very public about what I get.
My bring home pay is $145 a payday. And I was on my phone twice this week, over 4 hours at a time, taking care of problems. 2 days this week.
I make a lot of visits and go to a lot of places. I try to cover my area quite often. I do not ask for any reimbursement for mileage. I pay for it myself. If I go on a trip, I went this year. I paid my own way and my husband's way. Paid for my own food, my own gas. And I'm very fortunate that I was able to do that.
Oh, goodness. Biggest crowd we've had since COVID.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn this public hearing? Is there any calls, Ms. Marshall?
So moved.
All those in favor, or well, there's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor of closing this second public hearing in regard to salary ordinance, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well. That public hearing will be adjourned. We'll wait just another minute on the next one. All right, it's now 5:55. Our third public hearing will now be in session. If you would like to make a public remark in regard to the one-time bonus ordinance that we are going to consider later in this meeting, you may do so at the podium, or you may do so by phone call 276-333-0357.
Mr. Chair, if I could clarify,
Yes,
the
please.
purpose of this ordinance is something that's been done, I know the past couple of years in December, an ordinance has been placed. We've had some county agencies asked to give a bonus. In order to pay a bonus within the county, there has to be an ordinance in place to pay a bonus. And this has been like a Christmas bonus that has been done. So this isn't giving authorization, it isn't saying that anybody's going to pay a bonus, but it's just giving authorization to pay a one-time bonus up to $500 for any county agency throughout this budget year.
Again, the number is 276-333-0357. All right.
Yeah.
Tight quarter there.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we close this public hearing.
Mr. Mullins, any calls? Is there a second to close this public hearing?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. As well. We'll begin our regular meeting in just a moment. All right, it's now 6 PM. We will begin our regular monthly meeting, the June meeting of the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors. Would note for the record that all members are physically present, along with County Administrator Mr. Barton, Council Mr. Sturgill, Clerk Teresa Lau, and our Economic Development Director Ms. Cronkite. If we'll all join our hearts together for a brief word of prayer before we begin. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day here in Dickinson County that you've given us. I ask you to bless each and every home that's represented here tonight. Lord, I ask you to be with our county. Anyone that's sick or suffering with illness in our county, please be with them and be over them. I ask you to be with our school children as they're out for the summer and be with their families and hope that they're nourished and taken care of and loved. Lord, I ask you to be over this meeting as we consider the county's business, and I hope that each and every action taken is pleasing to you. Please be with our law enforcement community, our first responders, and our military service men and women at home and abroad, dear Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Peters, you want to say our pledge?
Everyone face the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brings us to item number 2, approval of minutes. We have 4 sets of minutes in our packets. Members have any issues or concerns with those minutes? If there are any, please address them. If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion, we approve all of them.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any other discussion?
Wait just a minute. Is this, I'm on here? Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Got something?
No.
All those in favor of approval of the minutes from March 16th, 23, May 23rd, 23, the regular meeting of May 23, and the public hearing June 6. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well, Madam Clerk. That brings us to item 3, approval of the agenda. Mr. Barton, are there modifications or amendments to the agenda?
There's one addendum before you for closed session. Item B, section 2.2-3711A5, economic development update.
Any members see any amendments or modifications they'd like to see made to the agenda?
I would like to delete item 13 from the agenda.
Okay.
I would like to discuss that, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I will.
Oh.
Give me a second. I gotta. Hold on. I don't know how to shut it off. It's done. Sorry about that.
So you want it left on the agenda?
I do.
Okay.
I
don't care.
Here's the thing. How many of you paid extra electric bills this year? If your electric bills went up, your grocery bills went up.
Well, if we're going to do this, let's
What?
just leave it on the agenda. We'll just leave it on.
This has to do with our trash rate. It's the 5-year contract and the rates went up. And what this is for is to advertise that we have a public hearing to raise the rate so that at least if we've got a commercial hauler coming from another county into our county, hauling other trash in, we're not helping to subsidize their business plus pay for another county's trash to be thrown away because we can't police it. That's the way this contract hadn't been hit yet because it's a 5-year contract. This year it updates and it starts in October. So this is to address raising that rate to cover those increased costs.
So
That's
you kind of already discussed it, so we might, I don't, are you making a motion to delete it?
Almost to delete it. I don't think there's any, we can wait until, we do not have, we can do it in a later date, is what I'm thinking.
Is there a second?
So you mean do it in a later date as in after the election because you
I
don't have the responsibility, you don't want to be responsible and do what's looking out for the county's interest right now.
I couldn't care less myself.
Well, I'm not, as you very well know, Ron, you're not running. And so far, I'm running by myself. So my question is, I think we can wait till a later date to do this.
So there's a motion to amend the agenda. Is there a second? Won't I call for a second?
Is it a second?
Second to delete.
Oh,
So there's a sec,
It doesn't matter if you make-
Adding 18B and deleting 13, I think. 'Cause we had the closed session
13, isn't it?
edition.
It's
Why don't we
13.
just withdraw your motion? Let's just go with the agenda as it is with the addendum. You wanna do that, or you want it just to fail?
Just
One
fail.
last call for a second, their motion
I did what I
will
could.
fail. So is there any other motions in regard to the agenda?
Not doing it for anything, election purposes.
Do we have a
So we're
motion to
not.
approve the agenda with the addendum? So we can move this meeting forward.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda with the addition of closed session.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Is there
I'll
a second?
second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. That brings us to consent agenda. Mr. Barton, is there anything significant in our agency reports that you'd like for us to know or discuss?
No, sir, nothing significant or out of the ordinary this time.
I would like to get an update on the Starlink connections. Do you know where we are on those?
Mr. Mullins, I think we're down to
5 remaining.
5,
So
okay.
we have connected almost 40 of the new, very good. Thank you.
Mr. Purdy is working on reaching out to some of these, we all are assigned, and they have received the welcome email, but 5 have not accepted that at this time, and so we're working to make contact with them to get them signed up so their equipment can be shipped to them. The others are connected now.
Great,
So
thank you very much. Any members have any questions on the consent agenda? Are the information in there?
No, if there's no questions, I make a motion we approve all A, B, C, D, E, and F.
and I second that.
Any other discussion on the contents of the consent agenda? Would you say, and I know we've said it a couple times, but our drug court is doing a fantastic job, and our liquor control is doing a fantastic job. And I really appreciate Shannon's report too, how he's done it this month. I really like what he's done here, so. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well. That brings us to item 5, public comments. The podium's open. If anyone would like to make a public comment to the Board of Supervisors, you may do so. You have 3 minutes to speak. And all we ask is give your name and your address, and you can also call 276-333-0357.
Good evening. I'm Rita Surratt, Tourism Director for Dickinson County. Kenny's with me. He's on the Tourism Committee. And we're here tonight to present you all with our brand-new brochure, fresh off the press. So I wanted to bring you all a copy first. We're starting to get them out everywhere already. I'm taking them to the visitor centers. We're sending them out and took them to the town today. So I just wanted to bring y'all a copy and let y'all know our tourism committee is going strong, full force, and we're staying busy. So,
Thank
here's
you
y'all.
so much.
Just give them to her. Yeah. If anybody else wants one, tell them more than welcome.
I'll take one.
They told me I'd probably have to reprint them really soon. We just did 15,000 because they called from Richmond and said the copy is so pretty that it's gonna go like crazy.
what we like to hear.
No, how you
Hey,
just
say what,
did it.
man?
Hey, how you doing, Hoss?
You all right?
Yeah, man.
I want to say, I really appreciate all the work that Tourism Committee and Rita did on this.
How you doing, guys?
I'm good.
And it does, very colorful, looks
Good
great.
job on
Yeah, I
this.
love it.
Yeah, man.
What
So-
was it, the report, Larry, $14 million last year in tourism revenue? Do you remember that?
Yeah, we're
That's a great job.
Yeah, and you know, we can't get everything we have to offer here in this brochure, but once we get our website up and going, we're gonna try to get everything we can in the county on that website. And this is in digital form, so we'll be able to upload it to the website,
So when do you think you'll have your website done?
We're working on it. We've been trying to get some content sent out to the designer, so we'll be making an announcement pretty soon, I hope.
That's Hannah Thacker right
Yeah.
there.
And
She's
another
Darrell
thing-
Thacker's daughter.
Who? Yeah,
Darryl
that
Thacker's
was
daughter,
Casey.
Hannah.
Yeah, and we're gonna do a, hopefully a day at Bristol, Shelby. You went with us last time
Yeah,
at
I
the,
did.
at the Welcome Center, and we get to talk to a lot of people on that day,
Yeah,
so
we
I'm working
did.
on that.
Yeah,
So
that was
thank
great.
you all so
Thank
much
you,
for
Rita.
all your
Thanks,
support.
Rita.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny, and all of you on the committee.
While I'm up here with Rita, I'll just go ahead. I'm with, I guess, the Coalfield Ag Center bunch is sitting back here. I'm with the Cumberland Pine Mountain Trail Riders, and we have got a beautiful place up there for all kinds of meetings, cattle, horses, and everything. But we need the road blacktopped real bad. It is rough, and before it gets all rutted out and bad, real bad shape, we need it blacktopped. And it would help the county a big lot because it would bring more people in. When it gets cold weather and a little bad weather, they don't like to go up there on account, afraid of getting stuck down under the hill. You know, dirt road gets real slick. And I know when we got started, Henry, I forget his last name, he came up to do sell tack and auction off the horses for us. Well, the first snow, I guess, and cold spell came while we was in there having the auction. It came a pretty good snow, and the traffic traveled out and packed the ice and snow down, and he couldn't get out with his dually pulling the big trailer with his tack in it. So him and his partner slept overnight down there at the facility, and the next morning he started out, and when he come down there to the curve, it had packed so slick and icy on that dirt road, he jackknifed, and the trailer broke his back window out of his dually truck. And him and his partner walked down to the main road there and was sitting on the guardrail, and I was going to Kentucky, me and Dee, and I saw him, so I stopped and asked what's the trouble. They said, we're jackknifed up there and the road is icy and we can't get out. I said, have you had breakfast? They said, no. So I come back to Hardee's and got them some biscuits and gravy and coffee and took them back down to the building to where they could eat. And they said they're going to stay around until the road thawed. I mean, and that's the kind of problem we got there on that dirt road. And if it's blacktop, you know that the blacktop thaws out real quick because the black draws heat and it don't get slick like so. And we also got a lot of people wanting to come in here from out of states and bring their horse rigs, and we don't have nowhere in the county for them to park. But they could, if it was blacktop, they could come down there and park their big rigs, and they got their stables there at the facility. They could put their horses in and stay overnight. We have people begging to come from Arkansas, Alabama, everywhere, all the neighboring states. They say, that's where the good horse is. The women will come there and ride them trails. We said, we ain't got nowhere for you to park. But they could use that facility up there, maybe some. But what we're asking for is see if the county could blacktop that road. It's real wide and it would be excellent. They could just bring big rigs in. They come in there and haul cattle out, sheep out and everything. So please, if you can, help us. Thank you.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you, Kitty. I think I've stressed that time and time again, and that's something that we really need to do. I really was impressed when I went up there. It's a great facility. I can see a great future for it. I think Brad and his crew, and you and all of you have done a really good job. Appreciate it. And we'll do all we can to get it.
Well, thank you.
I will do all I can.
Yeah.
Good evening, Ms. Dawson. How are you?
Pardon? Fine, how are
Good,
you all?
good.
It's good to see all of you. My name is Betty Dotson. I live at 220 Fawn Lane, and it's just about right here. It's as the bird flies, you'd be there in about 10 seconds where I live. It's a beautiful brochure. My compliments to you, and I hope someday that the Ag Center, the Coalfield Agricultural Center, will be featured in a brochure of like quality. I am before you tonight representing the Lonesome Pine Beekeepers Association. at this moment, I am president of that club. I've been attending meetings there for several years, and I recall when I first started that it was a very interesting place to be. I was very impressed, but about 3 meetings down the road, it rained, and I didn't want to go. If you understand what I mean, I have a white car, and at that time, it's just a really rough position to put some people in. And I don't like to admit that I'm vain, but sometimes we take our, it is a little bit vain to think that you just don't want to go somewhere to get your car dirty. Well, anyway, that's beside the point. I think paving this road to the agricultural center will pave our county into unknown, and there are possibilities beyond what we could see. We have hunters in this county. We have people who raise cattle and sheep. That could be a processing center. As a beekeeper, I would love to have somewhere to go and process my honey as I take it off and have a processing center there. I just think I implore you to consider the opportunities that road could begin to make. But it's more than that. Caring for the center and making it appealing. It's a place to keep up. It is. I think it actually goes beyond a road. And I really hope that you will consider this place as an uncut jewel to our county that has untold possibilities. And I thank you for listening to me today, and I want to thank you in the near future to say I appreciate your action on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Dawson.
you.
I agree with you. One thing that I would like to say about that agricultural center, and Brad probably can address this, I really think that land it's a strip job, right, a former strip job, but there's land around it that has been stripped. And I believe, is it right that Mr. McFalls owns that land around there?
I think, yes, he owns some, I don't know exactly.
Well, I see as Ms. Dawson was talking about, I see the possibility of acquiring more land. That, you know, I've brought that up to you before, that I think that it needs to be, that should be a future thing to do, is to acquire more land so that you can do more things that you're doing. I was very impressed when I went up there. And also, you know, it is a thing where we need to consider in the future, we need to hook onto the public sewer that goes there, that's going out to Red Onion, so that more events can occur. This pump and haul is just not a good thing. So I foresee in the future that it could be a really wonderful thing going on right there, but I do see the possibility, right now you need to acquire more land. And that's what I think. I'm sorry, Glenn.
Mr. Graham, go ahead, sir.
Glenn Graham, 1293 Fairview Road. Is that any more information I
That's
need?
beautiful. Go ahead.
I'm a member of the Lonesome Pine Soil and Water Conservation District and the Wise Dickinson Farm Bureau. I just want to say that both of those organizations want you to consider the paving on that. Because we have regular meetings up there, we have our annual meetings up there, and a lot of things that we sponsor with the kids and education. I had a personal experience with it that kind of fits in. This Saturday, I went up to the sheep meeting that we had up there, and I got that little front-wheel drive car. And about halfway up there, I hit some loose gravels and spun out, and there I sat. So I had to back down the road and take a run ago. And Kenny mentioned if you're going up there with a truck pulling a trailer and you hit loose gravel, then you can get into quite a problem with that. So those organizations are asking you to consider this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Graham.
Thank you.
Mr. Mullins, any
I've
calls?
heard his name, but I couldn't put a face to it. Hey, Larry.
Hello,
I
this
had
is,
brochures like
I'm Paul
this when I
Quinn.
campaigned.
Just want to take a minute for a quick comment. I attended the Coalfields Expressway Board meeting yesterday, and one of the comments from the VDOT representative is that in that process of building the expressway, they need to find locations to move the dirt, rock that comes from the roadway and fill that in other locations. I was just thinking it might be an opportunity to fill in floodplain areas in the region to maybe make an area more commercially viable. So as that moves forward, it may be something we want to look at here in the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
My name's Gilbert Childers. I'm a sheep farmer, live at Hayside. I have belonged to the Sheep Association up there for since 2018. We had a sale last year that we sent sheep out to 9 different states. And there were some people that had trouble getting in there. A fella from Gate City brought sheep in there to sell, had to lock his in a 4-wheel drive to get there. You know, and I think that it would be profitable for us to be able to get this paid, because we had a meeting up there this past Saturday. There was people from North Carolina up on 81, drove 3.5 hours, and you know, I think it would be to our advantage to get it, try to get it paid if we could. But we got a sheep sale coming up in August the 19th, and we're looking for people from Georgia, West Virginia. It's already consigned sheep, so you know, I think this is a good thing. And there was people up there from Speedwell, Tennessee this past weekend said they didn't realize what we had. First Bank and Trust and Avenue come and said we never realized that Dixon County had something like this, to have events for the agriculture. I think y'all need to take consideration about trying to get it paid.
Thank you, Ms. Childers.
What time does that sheep sale start?
It starts at 1 o'clock.
Viewing at 11, right? Viewing starts at 11?
Yeah,
And
there'll be
the-
sheep there Friday night if anybody wants to come and look.
Shoot,
Thank you, sir.
sorry I missed that lamb tasting.
Any calls, Mr. Mullins? Any other public comment from anyone?
My name's Chris Calmer, and I live at 242 Hackney Road, Hackney Ridge in Birdsley. I haven't got to see y'all since March. Had a couple things come up and I couldn't make it. But I have a question tonight. What has been decided, and I did address this back in March, what's been decided on the county ordinance as far as the security, the trash being secured properly at the home residence? Maston Home.
There's
Well, we
not
have
been
a
any-
closed container ordinance now.
Pardon me?
We have a closed container ordinance now.
Right. But the question was, or the point was, it was not being enforced, correct?
I guess another question would be, how many citations have ever been written?
Okay.
How many citations have ever been written? Because that's getting right to the bottom of whether it's being enforced. Have we ever written any citations for
Not to
litter?
my
Probably
knowledge.
not, any as I know of.
I have, to all of you, I have several pictures here, probably about 10 or 12 that I've taken in my neighborhood. We've got, where we're at right now is we've literally got freezers sitting out in the blacktop for trash, put trash.
You're not supposed to pick them up if they're in.
I
And
have
that's
a state-
forbidden, just so you know, that's forbidden by the ordinance.
Wait just a second. I have a state trooper that lives like 2 doors down from me. He passes by it. Well, I've witnessed county law enforcement pass by it, and I mean, it's literally sitting on the asphalt.
As a container for trash, is that what
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
talking about?
Yes,
I've
ma'am.
seen them before too.
It's a freezer.
It's a freezer.
Yes.
It's not one that won't be picked up. It's one where they put their trash
They're
in.
not supposed to pick up trash if it's in that.
Uh,
And I'm sure I've got some my way.
I believe you, you know, I
But
mean,
is there any way that we can project these pictures here on the screen? I've got them I don't know. Are they, John?
I don't know.
Does
I mean,
anybody
you
know?
would have to send them to me directly. If you could send them to me directly, I could potentially put them up for you.
Mr. Cromer, I'm happy to look at them if you want to pass your phone around, or if
No
you're
problem.
comfortable doing that, or whatever you want to do.
Okay.
I've seen it myself. I mean, I've seen them myself.
Thank you, ma'am. But the point of the matter is, folks, and my wife's heard this over and over, and I've talked to people, is, you know,
They're not supposed to pick them up. if they're in
you
the
all,
freezer.
and folks, there's people in the community keep pushing, let's get out and pick trash up, okay? And I mean, this is just logical to me, am I done?
Is this like the day they pick it up?
No, this is throughout the week,
Oh, okay.
yes.
I was just looking at that one. Is that not the day they pick it up?
The dogs get in it, the crows get in it, and I mean, it's like a bomb going off. So I mean,
Is this on your ridge?
yes, ma'am.
Is this one person?
No, move it. He's got all kinds of stuff.
This one person puts this much garbage out for them to pick up? Well, I've seen those water things out too.
See, can I make a comment?
Sure.
The thing of it is, see,
What part of John
within this ordinance, there's not supposed to be freezers and
You're right.
55
correct.
gallon drums, and
Correct.
you don't have to go out and spend $200 on a trash can.
Right.
I did, and most of you all did.
Yeah.
You built a little wooden rack to set your
Set it down
plastic
in.
cans in.
That's
I mean, it's not hard to do.
out there, that's what brought it up.
When you send Dusty to tell them?
I can. I'll get the address information from you and we'll follow up on these.
Okay.
Here's a question. Do we have the ability to write citations?
We do not with our current staff. We're working on that, but we do not.
But I mean,
Because that's what enforcement is. We've got to start enforcing this stuff.
well, you voted to take it away from the sheriff, so, I mean, that was part
That
of
had
what.
nothing to do with
That don't
that.
have nothing to do with, they didn't
Well, I
write
mean,
any
it does
either.
the writing citations,
They didn't write any.
This-
but now it's on us, on you.
It always has been on us. It's our ordinance. And,
To my knowledge, Chris, it's never been enforced.
No.
no, but it's been brought up. I
Well, no,
brought up
I think
the
it's
ordinance
time,
2 or
Mark
3
Chris,
times.
I think it's about
I
time
couldn't
we
get you
enforce
guys to
this
read
stuff.
it.
If we want to talk about tourism, then we ought to talk about cleaning up our county too.
Amen.
Mr. Mullins, you got a public comment? Go ahead, sir.
My name's Brad Mullins. I live
Thank
at
you, Mr. Cromer.
1034 Osborne's Gap Road. I'm the Dickinson County Agriculture Extension Agent, work for Virginia Tech. I guess a ex officio manager of the Coalfield Ag Center. And several people have commented here tonight that represent several groups that uses the center and or participates in activities there. Made it clear that, you know, they're in support of trying to get it paved. Over the years, I mean, we've had over 50 horse and tack sales up there. Done 4th grade agriculture field days there for every 4th grader in our county. Had some bus drivers that was going to come tonight, Mr. Travis Mullins, and couldn't be here because he was going to stay with his wife. But he always talked about trying to get the school buses up there.
I mean, we'd have 10 or 15 buses there at a time. We'd do Wise County and Dickinson County's fourth grade Ag Awareness Days. There's not too many weeks that I'm not there 3 or 4 days a week. And we have lime spreaders, no-till grass seeders that citizens of this county can use, weed sprayers that they come and check out, and they call my office and we have to go there to get those items. So, I mean, we're there all the time. Girl Scouts is using that facility this weekend. That facility has never been denied for anything educational-wise that anybody wanted to use in this county. There's been a lot of people that's wanted to do baby showers and all that, but we've not allowed that. But anything educational or for the youth of this county, it's always been opened up and been welcomed. And it's a fabulous facility. Can even be, we sold $50-some thousand worth of sheep up there last year, and they came from 9 different states: Pennsylvania, Illinois, Indiana. We had Amish people coming in there that they were having to drove 6 and 7 hours to attend this sale. And that could even be expanded. I mean, those activities, and I've got people from Illinois, Missouri, Georgia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Ohio, that's already wanting to bring sheep to this sale coming up in August. So I reiterate that. And here's the big thing about that facility. I'm here trying to talk you all into paving a facility that you own. I mean, it's your facility. I mean, it's like me going to somebody else's house and saying, why don't you pave your driveway? I mean, this is a county-owned facility, and I'm trying to...
Owned by the people,
Yeah,
not us.
yeah, it's owned by the people,
Right.
and you know, so I mean, it's something that you can do that would be in betterment of Dickinson County. So, thank you for any consideration that you can give to that.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Mr. Mullins.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Any calls other than Mr. Mullins? Anyone else like to make a public comment? We appreciate all the farmers and the people advocating for the Coalfield Agricultural Center. How that'll work, just so you all know and the public knows, this board doesn't have money for asphalt. So we just don't have a pot of money for roads and asphalt just that we can plug from. So what happens is we have what's called a coal and gas road improvement fund. And there's a committee that's assigned over that fund that is composed of a VDOT engineer, who's Mr. Joseph Mullins. It's myself currently, it's Mr. A.C. Blevins and Mr. Jeff Newberry. It's a 4-member committee. And each year, annually, we take all of VDOT's analysis and engineering of the county, and they bring us a list of projects, and we narrow it down on what we're going to fund and what we're not. And there's certain guardrail projects in there that we consider funding and not funding, but it's in the scope of, say, what, Larry, $2 to $3 million. That doesn't go anywhere when you're talking about a road project. I mean, when you're talking a county of 350 square miles plus, which is Dickinson County, $2 million to pick and choose what road might get a little bit of guardrail or what road might get a little bit of pavement. It's very, very, very difficult. And Mr. Mullins has been a staunch advocate for this since I've been on the board, and I really appreciate his aggressive advocacy for it. And he's right, it is a county-owned facility that brings a lot of good things to our county and our children, and especially our farmers. I think we're probably at a point with what we had our budget hearing, or excuse me, budget amendment hearing earlier, and we've got an influx, fortunately, of some additional coal road money. So what I'm taking the long way around to saying is, I believe at our next coal road meeting, we're going to be able to hopefully fund this. I'm very optimistic. So I point out the composition of that committee to tell you those other 3 members, you probably ought to go lobby a little bit as well. I would encourage you to reach out to them. Our office can give you their information, so it wouldn't hurt to send a text, an email, and call Mr. Newberry, Mr. Blevins, and Mr. Mullins, just to give a little lobbying there. And so our committee will take that up first, That's the first step, and we would pass it or not. I believe, again, like I said, I believe we'll get it passed this year, and then our whole board would vote on it. So it's kind of a two-part process. It doesn't get anywhere, though, if it doesn't get out of that first committee. So, Brad, you've been on this for years, I know that, and I believe we probably have the monies to probably do it now. But the complex part of it is, and again, not to beat a dead horse, but Mr. Peters has areas in his district that need the money. Ms. Kaiser, Ms. Willis, and so it's hard when you're on that committee to you always, well, all goes to Clintwood, or it all goes to Nora, or it all goes to Bartlick, or and you get into that, and so that's been a struggle. But I believe we have adequate funds, and I hope that we're going to get that funded this year. I really do mean that.
Yeah, as Mr. Evans indicated, like, we have other, your guys' cause, I see merit in it, I really do. But I also will tell you, like, in my district, I got a road with 10 to 15 families on it. A man died during the last storm going up that road. And it's completely, every time it rains, it gets wiped out. It seriously needs to be picked up by VDOT, and I've been asking for that since the middle of last term, like 2017, 2018.
And if you, I mean, that's probably $1 million project.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you fund that,
easily. There's
and then-
30 people affected by this.
But that's what we deal with.
But I see what you're doing, and I'll say this too. I've even mentioned to folks that it would be nice to see if you could get more land and we build a major, it wouldn't happen overnight. You'd have to start out and then add to it. But that could be turned into a multi-use facility that would answer the question for the horse club and everything. Because it's in a place that's accessible. It's pretty much at the top of the mountain already. The highway goes there.
But Mr. Mullins, I did, I was checking back in my notes here, at our last Coal Road meeting earlier this year, I asked Mr. Mullins, the VDOT engineer, to have ready an updated engineering and analysis and pricing report for the Coal Road Committee to consider. So I will be certain to send you an email to the date of that, and it would probably behoove everybody if you wanted to come and give the same presentations to our committee, as well as shoot a message beforehand to the members. And as you can see, that it gets, what we fund to pave or what we don't, it gets very serious. So it's not as if we've not ignored you on this, I promise you. And I can show you, like I said, I've asked Mr. Mullins at the last Coal Road meeting to have a concrete estimate and engineering on that road to see what it'll actually, bottom dollar will cost to do it, so.
Yeah.
I hope that it lets you know a little bit. It's not like we could just vote tonight to do that, so, anyway.
Thank you very much, appreciate that.
Any other public comment? Anybody else? All right, we're gonna close public comment and go on to item 6, old business. Is there any old business, Mr. Barton? Thank you all for coming, by the way.
No, sir, nothing I'm aware of.
Anybody got old business? Mr. Belcher, welcome to the show. We're gonna get something done.
I wanted to introduce you guys first tonight, Mr. David Hampton. He has taken my place as the maintenance manager for Wise and Dickinson County. I'm still working in the county as well. I just took a step up, so now I'm more involved in all 4 of the Wise residency counties. So Mr. Hampton will cover the more day-to-day operations like I used to. His business cards haven't came in yet, so we wrote his number and name on the back of some of my cards, and I'll give them out to you guys. So, of course, you're always still welcome to call me, but you'll have Dave as a resource.
Wade, smart move, because I was just gonna answer and say, well, we'll just keep calling you.
Well, I have been.
Either way.
Yeah, me too.
But just know that Dave would be a good resource for you. He's been with VDOT for a long time. He's really knowledgeable on
Welcome aboard.
field work, and he's doing an excellent job already. So,
Look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Larry, were you able to get them a copy of the?
Not sure, but I just sent them to the printer. I'm gonna go down and get them right now.
I've got enough here.
Have you got enough?
I
Okay.
didn't know if you had already given them out or.
He sent them on email, I read them on email. Saturday.
And here is also my card, so it's got David's.
Thank you.
It sounds like some of you saw this by email already. It's just kind of the typical quarterly update that we've been doing the past few meetings that I've came to. We've got a 3-month look ahead, kind of a look back at the past 3 months, and then some specific questions or issues that you guys have contacted us about. Our plan for the next 3 months will be to continue the storm cleanup until we're finished with that.
And Wade, I want to say something on that real quick. I know Kenny's here. Kenny had a good story on your contractors, helping him out. Those guys have done a great job back there. I know you hear all the bad, and we hear all the bad, I hear all the bad, but I've been really pleased, and I've tried to monitor it close, and I know Kenny, you want to tell them about how they helped you with your fence, or you don't have to, but.
Oh, about the cleanup?
Yeah.
Amazing, where they work, I mean, it looks like it's been swept. And,
It does.
those big, long, tall, poplar trees came down, tore my fence out, went across my horse's lot, tore the other fence out. Had a little barn here for my old stallion, and them big trees fell on each side of it, and he was a total wreck. He was standing down there shaking. They came, and people said, when they gonna do something? When they gonna help you? I said, they're saving the best for last. And they came Friday, and reached over there with a big long, the clamshell, pull them trees up, cut them off. And then I told them, I said, don't ask me if you can do this or that, go ahead and do it. They went in my field up there at the top, trammed down through my grass field, got in my horse lot, cleaned all that up, put it up in the road, and they done a wonderful job. And that operator is super. I believe he could untie your tennis shoes.
You both on that. You've
you're
come
welcome.
through in
It's-
the clutch for us.
It's been of course, I was actually at the Lee County Board meeting the night those storms happened, and, down there, they had some tornadoes, and there wasn't really wasn't a tornado here, but there's more tree damage. Was it confirmed tornado here? Anyway,
Yeah,
you guys
100+
have
mile an
more
hour
tree
winds.
damage
I don't know what it
than Lee
qualifies.
County has, but we are getting close to having it all cleaned up. I mean, our guys work 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day for well over a month. We have released our guys back to doing regular maintenance, but we still have those contract crews cleaning up trees, because we were just getting, having all of our forces working on that tree cleanup was getting us behind on regular maintenance and filling potholes and that sort of thing, but it was just, it was so bad after the storm, we just kind of had to put everybody on it.
And Mr. Belcher, I can back up what Mr. Mullins said. We're neighbors. So I had a 200-year-old white oak tree that went down, and we thought, this is going to be such a mess. And the guy said that when they put the stump in the truck, it raised the front of the truck up. It was so big. But when I came home that day, they didn't just take what was, the part of the stump that was left by the road. They actually cleaned up all of it. And I'm, very thankful for that. So
I'll definitely pass it
looks
along
way
to the
different now,
guys.
doesn't it, Kenny?
But yeah, those guys are experts at tree work and tree cleanup, and they have done a wonderful job.
Yeah, boy.
And It's, so far, Dave and I did a quick estimate before we came over here, and we're estimating that they've cleaned up 30,000 cubic yards of debris since it started, and we're looking at probably 2 more weeks worth. And just that one contractor is probably getting close to 600 cubic yards a day. That's not counting what our guys are picking up too. So it was a lot of damage and a lot of debris out there.
Where's the debris going?
Red Onion.
Okay.
Yeah, we're.
Well, that's right, you told me that.
And it's, once we get everything to Red Onion, what we're gonna have somebody with a tub grinder come in, grind it all up and have it hauled off. So it'll be, we just wanna wait till everything's there and then have them come in and do it.
Sure. It was a day or two after that storm hit, I was up there around the Ski Rock, Blowing Rock area, and I'll tell you what, y'all really got some good people in this community. I was watching them all pull together, all them neighbors up in that area helping each other. Seen one gentleman up there on side by side, had an elderly lady taking her generator to her house so she'd have electricity. And tell me what, it's really good to see that community come together like that. It's some really good people.
Yes, absolutely.
If I could, I'd like to make a comment on the neighbors in the Blowing Rock and Ski Rock area. They came out of the woods from everywhere with chainsaws and worked all night long to open the road up. We don't know how lucky we are to live in a good place, a good community. We live in Dixon County. Yeah.
I agree.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So on the 3-month look ahead, I've got storm damage cleanup on there, but I'm expecting that's only gonna be for another couple of weeks, and we should have the storm damage cleanup wrapped up. We've got a lot of repairs that we're doing in Cutter Creek and Bear Pen right now. You know, those were both hit very, very hard in the July 22 flood, and we're taking care of some much needed repairs in there. We'll have our contract mowers out mowing. They've already completed 100% of the primary routes, and then they'll get started on the secondary routes on Friday. We're gonna have our guys out taking care of sight distance issues, you know, with our boom axe. Planning on doing a lot of pipe replacements, pothole patching, ditching. And one thing that we've been getting a lot of complaints on, not just in Dickinson County, but in the Wise residency as a whole, which includes Lee, Scott, Wise, and Dickinson counties, but advertisement signs on state right-of-way and things. So it's VDOT's policy to remove those and throw them away, but I would like to give people the opportunity to, you know, get them instead of us throwing them away. So we'll give everybody a couple of weeks.
Correct.
Do
Political
what?
signs.
Political signs, yard sale signs, just any kind of signs like that.
What is can you put political signs on the state's right of way?
No, not on state right away.
Well, I mean, they're all over on the
All
state's
over.
right of way.
County's gonna take them up.
That's
So
the
how do we
problem
know
we're
what
having.
the right of way though is?
The right of way, there's
From the
there's
middle
a
of the road?
prescriptive right of way of 30 feet, which would be 15 feet from
50
the
from the
center of the
center.
road. If you're on the backside of the ditch, you're probably in pretty good shape. Another good way to tell, which is not always 100% accurate, but if you look at telephone poles, they put those dead on. Most of the time, those are half on our right of way, half on private property. So they try to put them right on the edge of right of way. So that can be a good indicator of what the right of way is too.
So, as generally though, it's 15 feet from one center to one, and then 15 feet the other way?
Yes. Now, if you're on a bigger route, like a primary route, like say Route 80 or something, we might have 40 feet.
Yeah.
But all of the smaller roads are most of the time gonna be a 30-foot. But,
Well, I know that's sort of hard working with slope when you put a sign up. If you go 15 feet and then you go up like that,
yeah.
you've got to go, the slope has to be, but, you know, so we can't measure that. How would you suggest that that be done?
You mean measuring it if it's a slope?
If you're right here and you're at the ditch line and it goes straight up the slope, say 30% slope or whatever, so how are we going to measure the 15 feet? Because I know y'all do that with transit and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know it gets pretty difficult.
Yeah, it does.
I'll just say, if you're on the back side of the ditch, you know, if you're on the back side of the ditch, then I think you would be pretty well okay. But the problem is, if they're out in front of the ditch and they're on right of way, it gets in the way of ditching. It gets, all our contract
Mowing,
mowers have to
stuff
work around them and stuff. So, our mowing contracts are written so that they have to mow 5 feet behind the ditch line. So if you're 5 foot behind the ditch line, then you're gonna be okay. So anyway, like I said, we're not gonna touch anything for a couple of weeks. Anything that does get taken up, I'm not gonna have people throw away. I'm gonna have them take it into the Fremont headquarters. So if somebody, you know, is missing an advertisement sign or a yard sale sign or a political sign or whatever, I'll have them take it to the headquarters down there, so. And, you know, keep it for a while. We won't keep it down there forever, but, you know, if somebody's missing a sign, they can go down there and get it. So that's pretty much our look ahead for the next 3 months. For the past 3 months, of course, from May the 12th through June 16th, we had all of our VDOT staff working on the storm cleanup, along with the contractors that you gentlemen were talking about. They also patched potholes on 30 different routes, cut right away with a bush hog on 21 routes. We ditched and cleaned pipes on 10 routes. We graded dirt roads and replaced stone on 9 different routes in the county. And closed over 150 customer complaints, which are work orders that citizens have called in. And then for some of the specific requests that I've got at the bottom there, if I put somebody's road in somebody else's district, I'm sorry, I'm not real familiar with the boundaries of your all's district. So if you guys do you guys have a map that shows the boundaries of the districts or anything?
I'll get you a copy that way.
That would be really helpful, Larry. I appreciate it. Ms. Sluss, the Philadelphia church project that we talked about, you know, Mike Goley went up there and met with them. We were in the process of going up there, putting some stone in to prevent some more erosion. Then the storm hit, and they went to work on that. So we will do it, and Mike has stayed in contact with the gentleman up there. So also, you had mentioned a slide on Old Clintwood Highway to me over the phone one time. Mm-hmm. And we went by and looked at that, and that slide is off of state right of way.
I was afraid of that. I mean, it's, the house is precarious where it's sitting close to and, you know, they did fill up the ditch line.
Yeah.
I don't know if cleaning out the ditch line would help any more because it's sliding more. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we could probably clean it out, and then
it'll slide
of course,
right back
over
down.
time, it'll keep filling it back up. But we definitely will get the ditches opened up, but, you know, we can't really go off of state right away and fix a slide.
I figured it would be, just like this when you first come into Clintwood, that where it's slid, that on the right there, I mean, that huge slide is down to solid rock. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know what I'm talking about?
Coming into Clintwood from,
If you're coming 83 west into
Okay.
Clintwood.
Yeah.
It's on the right, but before you get to that big stiff curve there. It just keeps sliding off, and I don't know, I really don't know how y'all gonna fix that.
some of them are pretty difficult, and Dickinson County, there's a lot of slides in Dickinson County. You know,
The big rock
everything
is-
over here is on a hill, and it's just, you know, we do have a lot of slides in this area, and some of them are quite difficult to fix.
Yeah, it
I don't
is.
know, I know, Shelby, you probably remember the one that we had on,
Rock House and then.
Rock House.
And then those up on next to Wise County line.
Yeah, that one on Rock House, that was a bear to fix right there.
It was.
It was 115 feet to the toe of that thing, and we took 2 excavators, and but.
It took time too, and a lot
Yeah.
of gravel.
Yep.
They hauled a lot of gravel.
So we'll definitely take a look at it though, and
I mean,
see
it's
if
just-
there's something that we can do. There are a lot of options out there, so we'll take a look at it and see what we can do.
You answered number 3.
Yeah, that's
Who
what I
is
was gonna
doing your
say.
mowing contract this year? Is it the same ones last year?
Same ones as last year, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tell them, be sure not to forget Carter Stanley Highway, they forgot it last year,
okay,
and it got really bad.
okay.
Thank you.
Let's see, Miss Willis, we did, like we just discussed, the Rock House slide, that was repaired.
Yeah.
The Caney Ridge slides that were, you didn't really call about the slides, you called about after they repaired the slides, how
Yeah.
deep that,
But you know, they've not repaired all the slides, but you told me that the money was funded for that. You know when they're gonna be done?
we've got, 2 more to do out there, I think.
I think there's 2 more that's marked off up there.
Yeah, and it's just, we recently got some hired equipment contract help back. And they're in the process of trying to restaff. And they're running into the same issues as everybody else, just
No
having trouble
employees.
finding people to work. So, right now, they are able to provide us 1 crew, basically, for the whole residency. So we're sharing this 1 crew across 4 counties, basically. So it's just getting them scheduled to get over, and you know, like you guys were talking, having to prioritize the coal money to take care of the biggest need. That's kind of what we have to do with the resources that we've got right now. So we will get them scheduled over there as soon as we can.
All right, thank you.
I have one more comment.
Yes.
I can't remember if I talked to you or Wade, or you're Wade. Joey, about Baker Ridge, where the speed limit, you said you do a speed study, where they've had 4 wrecks there this year. Where when you leave Clintwood's 25, then it goes to 35 until you get to just before Baker Ridge, it hits 55. Well, people, when they hit that 55, they're tired by then, just barely crawling, and they just shoom, you know, real fast. And so, Mr. Fleming I think he talked to, I think it was Joey, I'm not sure who he talked to.
I know, I talked to you, I talked to you about it.
Yeah,
and-
I talked to.
And I've already been in discussions with our traffic engineering division in Bristol about a speed study there.
Or maybe about moving the 55 down past Baker Ridge Road would help tremendously, because people, when they come out of Baker Ridge, the speed limit out through there is some places 15 and 25.
Yeah.
But people coming from Clintwood and they're off work, when they hit that 55, zoom, and it's causing people coming out of Baker Ridge potentially very bad wrecks and things. So you're gonna do a speed study on that?
Well, that's what I'm requesting them to do, and I'll ask them if that's a possibility, just to move the signs down a little, the
If
55
they could just move
a
it
little
down
further.
past, the turnoff, I was told that you can't put those speed bumps in the road, cause he jumped me, cause he said they had them in pounds,
Yeah.
Because I told him, I said, I thought that was because they was working on the bridge.
It
And it
was.
was.
Yeah.
But I happened to be in another state this past week, and they had them speed bumps everywhere. I mean, on the secondary roads, but they'll slow you down. I mean, but, there was a different state. I don't know why we couldn't utilize that somewhat,
It gets into causing a lot of problems when you talk about plowing snow and things like
Yeah,
that.
I can see that, yeah. Well, this was in Florida, so they don't have no.
Yeah, they don't plow much snow in Florida, do they?
No,
But, yeah, when, we've had a lot of requests for people asking for speed bumps and things, but if we were to put speed bumps in the road and, our plow drivers, it would,
Tear them all to pieces.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Ms. Willis, I think you probably talked to Mike Goley or somebody about this issue, but he told me about it. The weeds growing over the guardrails on Rock House.
Yes.
That's everywhere, Wade, by the way.
Yeah, that's actually a discussion Dave and I were having but amongst ourselves on the way over here.
I got my probationers to help cut some up there the other day.
But they.
Or the county probationers that we use, they cut some for me.
Well, we had actually started doing that too, and then that's
Yeah.
when the storm hit.
Yeah.
So that's something they're gonna go back to for sure.
I was asked, why do you all not spray those guardrails and get some of that, I guess it's mostly poison vine, looks to me like on them.
Some places we can use spray, some places we can't use spray because of environmental reasons, things like that. And there are a lot of environmentally sensitive streams in Dickinson County. You've got a lot of endangered species in Dickinson County as far as like crawfish, things like that. And, there's just areas we can't use it, and then there's areas where we can.
Okay, thank you for telling me that. Because I was asked that yesterday.
The ditching on Crabtree, we did the worst of that, but we need to go back and
Crabtree
install a
Falls, is
pipe,
that what
which
it
is
is?
gonna take, it's gonna take an environmental permit to put in the pipe that's needed there, so it's not something that we can
Now,
just,
they did that one on Stanley Hollow.
yes.
They got that one fixed. That's the one I had the most complaint. I know she got Josh's name down there, but that's my district, and I know they did that one on Stanley Hall. They got it fixed. That was
Yeah.
my worst one up there.
Yeah, and I looked at that area again, and there's a home there that doesn't have an entrance pipe,
Right.
but above their driveway, there's a cross pipe that goes right there. So what's happening, the water's kind of jumping over that cross pipe, and it's eating out the edge of the road. So we want to do a little work there.
Okay.
And then also, once you get on down onto Crabtree Road, there's a section there where rock always falls down and it fills the ditch up. There's a valley that comes out of the mountain there where when it rains, a lot of
Yeah, I know
water
where
comes
that's
off the
at. I've
hill,
been up there,
but there's
yeah.
no cross pipe there for it.
Right.
So we want to try to install a pipe there
Okay.
for that, but it's going to take permits and things like that.
Thank you.
The Mr. Davis issue, Josh, we discussed that earlier.
Appreciate it.
Everything's in place. They got a right of entry in place. The guys are
I
just.
told him today,
Who's that, Charles?
Mr. Davis, he lives on the Lake Road, right across from Tommy
Oh,
Harold.
I thought you had Caddo Creek, and I thought you was talking about There's a date, Mr. Davis lives across the Philadelphia Chapel.
This would, I guess if Crabtree is yours, this would also be yours. I looked at a pipe on 72. There's a little brick house over the hill there that had been getting some water during floods if that pipe stopped up. It's kind of like they've got some homemade guardrail there or something, if you know what I'm talking about. It looks like it's made out of big steel tubing. I don't know if you know the house I'm talking
I
about,
think
but
part of that district is, part of 72 is Rhonda's, I believe. And
Oh, this is on up, I believe, where he's
where's it
talking
at?
about.
Where do you think it's at, Josh?
Going on up the hill there, past Benny Vanover's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where it's at.
Mine goes to DSS building.
Yeah.
but what we're looking at there is putting in a larger pipe so it'll
Okay.
carry more water. And cause if you go up there and look, you're looking straight uphill on 72, so you got all that drainage coming down. And then if you look on up this gentleman's driveway across from that house, there's a big valley. So there's a lot of water feeding into that right there. So we're proposing to increase the size of that pipe, and we're in discussions with the property owners
Yeah.
for that now.
I've got that written down at home. I've got his name and everything written down at home. Because I've called about that one.
The Miss Howard drainage issue, we're gonna have our drainage engineer come out and look at that for some recommendations. I know she's followed some of my, advice and done some ditching and put a pipe in under her driveway that will help alleviate some of her problem. Mr. Peters, Route 712, I think you must have talked to Mike or somebody about grading that. They graded that road twice and added stone to it as well. Have you been out recently?
I haven't.
Okay.
I wanted to thank you too, because the citizen that called in Sugarcane, that's your next one.
Yeah.
They were very grateful. Thank you for taking care of that.
Yeah, Mike was telling me today that he got some thanks from the people in the community up there for that.
The only other thing I would mention is, because Ms. Luss brought up a speed study, I'd requested one on Lick Creek. Is there any word on that?
Lick Creek.
Yeah. Because where it goes around from, Dogwood Branch, is it, or?
Dog Branch Road.
Dog Branch Road. It's reduced there, but right after that, it goes back up. There's no speed limit. That goes all the way around to Sand Lake Elementary School.
Yeah.
The citizens are concerned because the bus stops there and it's a curvy road and stuff. They would like to see it kept and maintained at the lower speed limit.
Yeah, we just fixed this. Well, that's one thing that I didn't cover in what we've done the past 3 months. We also repaired 8 slides in the county, and one of them was out there at Lick Creek.
I remember it being out there, yeah.
Yeah, so we got that one repaired as well. But now, the Sugarcane Lane, they got the brush cut, but we do still need to fill
I
some
seen
potholes
that.
out there. And as far as the speed study on Lick Creek, Joey, being our traffic engineer, usually handles speed studies and things like that, so I'll get with him and try to find out where we're at on that, and I'll let you know. And then I think I've had multiple requests from you guys about striping on Route 652.
That's mine.
Well, that, I got an email from the traffic engineering division. You know, they put out striping on contract.
Right.
And that is the very first road that they are going to do once the contractor starts.
Okay.
I don't know what that start date is, but I assume it would be pretty soon.
Okay. I hope so.
But it's
really
the
needs it.
very first one they're going to do, so.
And they're gonna have trouble, doing those with those trucks up there too. That'll be a
Yeah,
issue up there if they could do it like on a Saturday. They run on Saturday, but maybe not as many.
the guys in traffic engineering over there are pretty familiar with
With
the
that
road.
road,
So
yeah.
they know, I'm sure they'll plan accordingly.
Okay.
And then my next and last topic is, Larry, you sent me an email today asking about the progress being made on the Route 652 coal project that we approved, to straighten some curves up there and all that. We're doing, so we have to acquire some right-of-way up there to straighten that one curve.
Did they contact her?
Well, what has to be done first is an environmental review of the project has to be done. And then our surveyors will come out and they will survey. And then our right-of-way division will approach her and talk to her about that. So,
Yeah, I know you
but they
called to
won't
get her
do.
phone number, yeah.
Yeah, I've still got the text with her phone
Okay.
number and name
All
and
right.
all that, but they won't do anything at all with the right-of-way until
Till
the
they do the
environmental review
study.
of the project is complete. But that's, as far as my update, that's all I've got. Do you guys have anything that you need or?
Yes, Mr. Belcher, I noticed that the Irvington District doesn't have anything on that report. And I've been sitting here making notes of different locations. And I had text in that the citizen that lives at 2752 Dank Mountain Road in McClure is concerned about the water from the ditch line when it fills up with rain and it gets so much water in the road with trucks. The water ends up splashing the house that's closest to the road at that resident there. You know, to see if that ditch line needs to be opened up or done something to alleviate some of this water that gets splattered onto the resident and even to their vehicles that sits beside the road. I had turned that one in. And then Priest Fork, I know Larry and I called Joey, and probably Joey brought the phone in to you last week about Priest Fork, of trying to get back over there to get that finished. Yes. Or do more repairs from the slide. I had a lady tell me Saturday night that they wish that no work had been done. That it is in such bad shape now and not getting fixed. You know, that I'd like for y'all to see what you could do to try to do something to Priest Fork.
Yeah, that, and Josh being on the coal committee will probably remember this, but that project was funded a long time ago, and over the years, price increases and things, the money that was allocated for that project just didn't go as far as it should. So the coal committee allocated another $100,000 for us to finish the paving on that. And all we're trying to do now is find the contractor to come in and pave it. And we do have, like I was telling Shelby, we do have the contract in place now. They're just trying to staff, get some people to help, and then we can get that done.
Okay, okay. And then in the past, I haven't reported it right recently, but in the past, I have reported potholes on Ailey Road. And Ailey Road runs off of where Dog Branch Gap and Lick Creek join. That is called a little section called Counts, and then you turn right to go up Ailey Road. There, and coal trucks is running that. So there is right many potholes up through there that needs to be addressed. And then I noticed you said in here that the secondary road mowing would start on Friday.
Yes.
I've had citizens, I live on Dyer's Chapel Road, and I'm having people hollering at me that you can't even see where the edge of the road is. In lots of places, to even know how close to the edge you're getting, the weeds are leaning over into the road so much.
That's all over the county.
Yeah,
Mr. Hampton and I discussed that very issue today, and we've decided to make our guys go out, and if the contractors just get out in front of them and go ahead and mow it if they have to. You know, if there's an area that's really bad, sight distance problem or something like that, we'll go ahead and take care of it instead of waiting on the contract mowers to get there.
Going up the mountain, I live 7/10 of a mile up Dyer's Chapel Road, and I'm the third house on the right as you're going up. Once you get up and it starts up the mountain. Up the mountain is not bad. They probably are some places once you get up and go out Sutherland Ridge. But from Dyer's Chapel Church past my house is terrible.
Okay.
You know, with the weeds in the road. And then, I think 3 months ago, when Joey was here, I gave him paperwork about Warren Puckett property. And he lives on, I don't know what his address is right offhand, but he lives on Dog Branch Gap, right at the intersection of Ramsey Ridge Road. That they have drainage problems with rain, how it runs off of Ramsey Ridge and then down and off onto them.
He lives way, kind of way under the hill.
No, he lives right beside the road, but it's sort of an under the road. It's not it's before you get to those houses that's down and under the hill.
Okay, I believe I know where you're talking about. You go out Dog Branch Gap, and you go by his house, or you can take a right and go up the hill past his house, and there's some drainage that comes down behind.
Right before you get to his house, if you turn right-handed, you would go up Ramsey Ridge.
Yeah.
And then you could turn left and you would go Neely Ridge. His house is the first house past the Ramsey Ridge Road turnoff.
Okay.
And it's right in that vicinity, but I brought a bunch of paperwork and stuff and gave it to Joey 3 months ago when he was here at the end of the first quarter.
I'll talk with Joey, but I know, and of course this was before me, this was when Harmon Kilgore was in the area.
Right.
If I'm thinking about the same issue, we had offered to go in and do some work on the property, but the homeowner would not give us access to get our equipment onto the property.
Oh, okay.
And there was no, I mean, without being able to get our equipment on the property or back our trucks down the driveway, there was just, you know, there wasn't much we could do.
Okay.
If we're talking about the same issue, which I believe we are, but I will, I'll get
His
with
mother
Joey.
probably lived there at that time, and she has now passed, and he has moved into the property.
Okay.
So it may be, if that was the case, it may be a little bit different issue now or something, you know, I don't know. But I just wanted, you know, there was nothing on this list for my district, and I didn't want the citizens present or people watching thinking that I'm not telling anything or reporting anything, but those are some that I know I have discussed, you know, recently.
Yeah, and I apologize if they don't get on here. You know, if you're, the way I prepare this is like Mr. Hampton and I will go over and sit down with the superintendent and supervisors in Dickinson County. Hey, you know, let's go through what you've done the past few months. Let's go over what you plan for the next few months. And then I've got things that you all have called me about that, of course, I remember. But then I know some of you communicate directly, maybe with Mike or with Joey or something.
Right.
So there may be things that get past me, but they're still making it to the headquarters or something. And so I'm not leaving you out intentionally, and we are doing work in your area. It's just maybe the request went through someone else and I just didn't know about it or something.
Well, when I sent you the request, I texted you the request on that McClure address about the drain, and I think you was off sick and was supposed to pass it on to him.
Yeah, I was off for a couple of weeks there. I was pretty sick. And, do you remember looking at that one?
I'll text it to you. I'll just copy what I sent him. I think my text shows I text him like on June 1st or something other about that, so I'll just send it to you too. Because he gave me your name and number. Okay.
And I've had Dave taking notes for me on all the issues that you've brought up, so we will make sure everything that you've brought up gets looked at.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have anything for Mr. Bill? Thank you, Wade, very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
you. You're doing a great job.
Sometimes when you got time, I wish you would look. And I thought it was just me, but then after I talked to everybody else, it's not just me. But if you're coming from Fremont after dark and you're going to make a left to Caney Ridge, you just about lose that road before you can find it. I mean, and I talked to some people that works night shift, and they say they carpool, and one of them gets out to point the direction that if it's foggy. But is there any way you could put like those reflector signs up through there? I wish you'd look at that.
Okay, you're talking like
As you
leaving.
come from Fremont and make a left up Caney Ridge. After
Okay.
dark, you lose that road. And I thought, well, it's just me.
No.
Well, Bruce was driving the other night and he said, you know, you about lose this road when you turn off. And then I got to talking to people that use it of a nighttime.
So you're talking at the four-way?
Yeah, at the
Or you
four-way.
gotta hit the guardrail sometimes.
Yeah, you will hit the guardrail.
I didn't realize
And,
that Sandy
I mean,
Ridge was so
I haven't
bad
hit
at
the guardrail,
nighttime for that
but
road, so
it's,
I drove that the other night.
it's hard to make that turn right there without anything to show
four-way.
you where that road is.
We've got some guardrail reflectors and things like that.
There's
that
not a
maybe we could-
guardrail that would be close enough. I looked at that the other night.
Okay.
Because Jackie did some out on 72 for me like that. But I think we need those, like you put it curves instead of a guardrail. I think you need something to point in that direction up through there.
Okay, yeah, we can look into.
Will
to
you
doing
look at
something
that the
there.
next
We'll look
time
at
you're
that.
down through there?
Yeah, sure will.
Because I've had several people tell me, you just lose that road, and I thought, well, it's just me. You know?
What's that at again, Ms. Willis? I missed it.
Caney Ridge.
It's Caney Ridge, it's right there if you're coming from Fremont and making the left to go to Caney Ridge.
Four-way.
You know, at the
Four-way.
four-way intersection, it's Route 637.
Like you're going out to our new.
637 and Route 83 west.
We call the four-way the intersection where you go up to Ridgeview School, you know, the
There where I
intersection.
like to stop by my beef jerky.
I got you.
One more thing, Wade.
Yeah.
How familiar, and maybe this is more of a Joey question, but the Ridgeview Elementary intersection, I'm hearing a lot of chatter about how that's set up. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm sorry, Josh,
Okay.
I'm not. That might be
It's sort of like a
project
half
that Joey
roundabout or
was.
something, and I've heard a lot of concern about that, so that'll be a Joey question.
Yeah, that's usually more in Joey's wheelhouse and traffic engineering, that side of things.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Wade, for
You're
everything
welcome.
that you do for me.
Thanks,
Thank
Wade.
you, Wade.
Y'all have a good
Appreciate
evening.
it.
Mr. Barton, that brings us to item 8, Atlantic Election Services Agreement. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure.
We try to move this thing along.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Steele had provided this to us. Of course, Atlantic Election is who we use for their services with our machines on Election Day. And you can see there has been an increased cost in our contract by $10 per hour on the election officer training class, the Election Day service, and the voting machine repair services. A lot of this, and she's marked, she's flagged, highlighted, and put the increases in here and things, but this is all just standard and what we're seeing these days with increasing costs, so. We just need a motion to approve this contract.
Is there a motion to approve this contract?
I make a motion that we approve it. It's something that we have to have.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well. That brings us to item 9, Cumberland Plateau Regional Waste Management Authority, the solid waste transportation agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have before you in the packet, there's an error on that was discovered this morning. So you've got a printed copy that I emailed to you earlier today, and there's a printed copy on the desk. The last page has some changes to it. On the last page, you can see our increase. It's got an annual 3% increase. Our base rate starting October 27th of this year is $22.04 per ton with transportation. That's going to increase 3% each year over this 3-year term. And also, there's an error in the fuel surcharge. The fuel surcharge stays the same as the current contract. It'll be $3.13 for every 10 cents that diesel fuel increases over $3.13 per gallon. We have this agreement and the contract for the disposal itself. The Waste Authority has went out to bid on two different occasions on this. We have Mr. Peters as our representative for Dickinson County, as well as Mr. Damon Rasnick. They've all worked very hard on this. I've attended the meetings, the negotiations. We've worked on this, and again, like everything else with the rising costs, we're seeing between the transportation and the disposal an increase of about $8.80 per ton overall between those this first year. But
Keep in mind, fuel can increase this too, so if fuel
right, there's
costs go
variable
up.
in there, but
Is that why Russell County's cheaper than us?
it's because of the distance. It is because of their distance between there and the landfill in Bluntville, which is where all of our waste goes. So, I'll entertain any questions anyone has. Otherwise, this contract, of course, we're asking for approval of this contract. We sign off on this, but the Waste Authority is the one actually entering into the contract. Mr. Peters is the chair of the Waste Authority, and each county will be approving, each of the 3 counties in the authority will be approving this, and then the Waste Authority will enter this contract, which takes effect October 27th, 2023.
One of the things, if I may, when I was put on the Waste Authority first term, all this stuff happened without the county seeing it. And there were some other problem areas, and I basically moved towards getting this fixed, and it caused a lot of frustration with those board members that were used to coasting along. I literally was going into a board meeting that felt, there were 6 other board members at the time, I felt like they all had guns pointed at me. Because, some of the things I addressed was like $350 to attend a meeting, and you got to eat dinner, and I thought that was way too high. But the contracts, our counties, the 3 counties, because there's 3-member counties, they didn't get to see the contracts. It was all done out there. One of the big changes, and Bud Phillips at the beginning of this term helped finish this, because we made it mandatory. Bylaws and stuff like that came back to the counties, so that because we're the governing body in each county for this organization. And so this is a 5-year contract. So up till now, we were relatively protected from inflation, with the exception of the fuel surcharge. And even that they forgot about, and they stuck us last year about this time on that. But it's normal process to have that in a transportation contract, because that contract takes care of hauling the trash from the transfer station to the landfill, and then the disposal contracts for dumping in the landfill. All that, this year we've got a new contract that'll start in 1 October, and that's what this is about, is approving that contract. Both of them. So, did I miss anything, Mr. Roy?
I think that's it.
Are there any motions?
Do we do them one at a time, Will? I'll do a motion that we approve the solid waste.
Is there a second?
Disposal.
You're gonna make a motion to approve solid waste transportation contract?
Yes, the transportation one first.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion that we approve it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Item B,
I'll make
disposal
them-
contract.
I'll make a motion, we approve the disposal
Is there a
contract.
second?
Is the disposal contract the price that we pay?
That one's
Yes.
for 3 years, by the way. It's not, this time around it's 3 years, because we're hopeful some other opportunity might. come
3-year
available.
contract with a 2-year extension available with it.
Yes.
This is for disposal, yes, ma'am. It's just for the cost of disposing at the landfill. Our rate is going up to $27 per ton, but at the same time, a lot of the adders that we got hit with this last time have been taken out, the environmental fees and other fees that were
Right.
being charged. So,
So, did you make a motion, Ron?
To approve it, yes.
I'll second the motion.
Any other discussion or questions?
Yeah, do you guys have any questions on it?
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Brings us to item
We have to have it
10.
hauled out.
What?
We have to have it hauled out.
Mr. Chair, the next
Yeah.
item is our group life insurance program, and as you know, this is something that we wanted to do for employees last year. It's been a slow process as far as getting all the data and information that VRS needed for that. We had to get approval from, not only our board, but Behavioral Health and PSA to join this, and so we're to the point now of actually passing the resolution to offer group life insurance coverage to our employees. This would be in lieu of the Anthem Group Life that we currently have. And this is something, that's in our budget and has been for the past couple of years. The employer pays a portion of the premium and the employee pays a portion of the premium. So I'll answer any questions that you may have on this. Otherwise, we just need a motion for approval.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. 10B,
10B, Mr. Chair, is going to be a resolution that the county needs to, is asking to consider passing tonight. The Dixon County PSA is working on a sewer line replacement project of Phase 2 for the Centennial Heights and Clinchco project. The county is applying, or PSA through the county is applying for a $1.5 million block grant from DHCD. And in order to do that, this would provide service for 61 households. And as part of the application process, we would have to have a resolution from the board stating that we wish to apply for these funds.
there are motions.
I'll make the motion, we approve it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion or questions?
We've already passed it at PSA.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. Brings us to 10C. Mr. Barton, I'll take this one. This is a resolution in regard to the Sand Lake Elementary School area, in particular the playground and bleacher area. I was approached by the Fair Committee to try to get some assistance for them to try to get some bleachers up at the Kiwanis Park for our fair this year. They had expressed interest in the bleachers, some of the bleachers, just a portion, small portion of the bleachers at Sand Lake Elementary School. So myself and Larry and Mayor Yates went and looked at the property, looked at the playground area, looked at the bleachers, and got with Mrs. Robinson and began some conversations with her and some members of her board on what and how long they might hold on to that property before they revert title back to the county, because as you all know, ultimately title to the property will come back to the Board of Supervisors. So anyway, Ms. Mullins with the Fair Committee and some other Fair Committee members approached their school board and indicated their desire for a piece of the bleachers. We've met with Mayor Yates, and obviously the desire is to keep that property and preserve that area for the Sand Lake Hayside community and families and children to enjoy. I think of course, that's not in the town, that's not in the corporate limits, but the mayor obviously has, a lot of influence in what happens and what's done there. So I think the future, of course, Mr. Peters is going off the board, but is to make sure that that's a recreation area for those residents and families
I've had a
down
lot
there.
of parents contact me that they would like to leave all the equipment there
Well,
for the children.
And that's what this resolution, it's out of our control a little bit. I don't know what the code says.
It's not in
The
our
school
hands.
board
Well,
will
that's what I'm
decide.
saying. I don't know what the timeline is in the code on when and how ownership reverts back, but this resolution indicates our desire for them to make sure they maintain that area, and so that equipment and stuff doesn't get run down. Go ahead.
Yeah, in addition, me and Mr. Barton discussed this, and we also met or discussed it with the Corps, because they're part of that tearing down Sand Lake. We told them we wanted to keep all the playground equipment, the field, the track, the bleachers, and there's a little park at the beginning where the buses normally park. That was started by a supervisor several years ago, before my time.
Right.
I want to maintain that, it's got bathrooms and stuff. So that's my intent. Now, I am not opposed to the fair getting some of the bleachers, but I want to make sure we understand which bleachers. I think we need to maintain the ones adjacent to the road going into the school, because that field's used for the Lions Club does the Easter egg hunt there now, because it got too cumbersome up on the top of the mountain with the campers and that at the Kiwanis Park. We also, I think this past weekend, they had an event, fireworks there, so I think it's good to maintain this field, and the Sand Lake community doesn't have anything, so that's
Right.
the big thing. They did at one time, they used to have a little bitty park, like basketball courts adjacent to the Primitive Baptist Church, and that all got torn down and became a parking lot. That happened before my time. So I think this is something where it's time to make sure we preserve something for that community. Who knows? Maybe someday we can build a community center so the Sand Lake District has its first community center. You know?
Well, I hope this resolution expresses our board's, I drafted this from scratch, so I'm open certainly to any changes, but I drafted this myself. I hope it's pleasing to the board and expresses our intent.
I think the Corps gave us instructions as what could be kept.
They did, Ms. Willis. I'd actually submitted a letter to them back in early May 5th on that. We just got a response last week. We've been working
But
with
it
them.
will be up to the school board right now to decide what
Well, and
they
that's
do.
what this, if you look at
Well, and
the
it's,
paragraph, it asks them to,
It's my
to
understanding, I think
answer
they may
your,
accept their
what you
meeting
just
tomorrow.
said, Miss Willis, yeah, that was what went on with the conversation we had with the Corps. What was really surprising, but they insist, I thought the field goal post could stay, but they do.
No, they
don't.
That
Don't know why
has to
that
go.
is.
I don't, I'm not gonna argue it, I'm just happy with what we
We're
got.
happy with
Well, I
what they
agree.
decided to leave.
Yeah, I attended that event down there Saturday night, and that place was packed. It was full.
Kids go
All
down.
kinds of kids and people, and I had people asking me down there Saturday night to
Go down
help support them to have a community center and to be able to keep that playground and to have events there.
Now,
Yeah.
to clarify something, we can't build buildings back where this area
Right,
is,
right.
but there is a land down there where the parking lot is, so things are possible there. It's just, it's gotta be moved up on the hill, so people don't get confused.
So our thing is, we just need to pass the resolution, correct?
Yes.
yes.
I make a motion that we pass the resolution.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
As well. Brings us to item 11.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, you have before you a list of vehicles we're asking to be declared as surplus property. There's 5 vehicles on here. 2 of those are from solid waste and 3 are from the sheriff's office. I think there may be more than one motion here, but the first motion, of course, would be asking to declare these as surplus property, which will give us authority to dispose of them, which we have been doing lately using Gov Deals and has been working very well for us. So,
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion, we declare it as surplus.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. Brings us to item 12.
Mr. Peters, you have a motion
Now,
from
wait a
that?
minute, we got one
What's
more
that?
I think
motion.
Mr. Peters may have had a motion
Yeah,
after this.
on the yeah, thank you, because I wasn't sure how that was playing out. One of the vehicles we would like to hold back and donate
It's the
to the new
2003
recovery,
Chevrolet Blazer.
Dickinson
Which one
County
you want to
Recovery
donate, the
Incorporation.
Chevrolet Blazer?
Yes, the 2003 Chevrolet Blazer.
Yes,
You gotta make it a motion.
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion. I think
All
that's
those
a
in
good
favor,
idea.
please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. So Madam Clerk, that'll be, I believe the motion, it wasn't real clear, but it'd be to donate the '03 Blazer to the Women's
Dickinson
Recovery
County
Center.
Recovery.
Dickinson
Yes.
County Women's Recovery Center, and that was unanimous. Okay, that brings us to 12A, appointments to the Board of Building Code Appeals. We have any motions to fill the vacancy left by Mr. Wood? Untimely
Nathan Ray.
departure.
I believe we
Like that.
discussed that a little bit last month, and no one had asked this person, but he has been asked since then, and Nathan Ramey from Ramey Builders is willing to serve on that.
You making that in a motion?
Yes, I will make that as a
I'll
motion.
second it.
All right, very good. Mr. Ramey's excellent contractor. All those in favor of Mr. Ramey being on the Board of Building Code Appeals, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
That was
Well,
correct, that we held it open.
brings us to B, Cumberland Plateau Planning District Commission citizen appointment.
I'm
I
gonna
had
make a motion, we put Dana Cronkite on it. We found out she can serve.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Is there
I'll
a second?
that.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. Brings us to IDA appointment.
You are willing to serve, aren't you, Miss?
Yes.
And this, I hope this grows, because I think it could connect you into some national agencies that do what we need here, economic development. you're already connected through the SEDS and that now. so
Mr.
that's great.
Martin, is this Mr. Vanover a district appointment or is he a at-large appointment?
It would be a district for Miss Willis's
Okay.
district. I'm sorry, Miss
Miss
Slush's
Slush, do you
district.
have a name, Miss Slush?
Oh, for the IDA?
Yes,
Yes, I do. I would like to nominate Mr. Paul Buchanan.
that'd be great. He
I'll
would be
second it.
fantastic. You second?
Yep.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. That brings us to, we got two
Yes, ma'am.
Irvington
Miss
District PSA
Irvington
appointment
and
and a Clintwood District
Clintwood.
appointment for the Public Service Authority. So, just out of simplicity, Ms. Slush, would you like to go first?
Well, I talked to Dr. Lyle today, and he said he was not, he did not want to be reappointed, that his health was not good. And I want to commend him for all of his service to the PSA. And I asked him if he had any recommendation, he said he did not.
Miss Slush, we could table this. and-
I really need to think it over myself.
His term
Well, you
doesn't
got
expire
till
until August
August.
8th, so we have time to table until the July meeting if you'd like.
But we'll pass it then, that's fine. Ms. Kaiser?
I have talked to Mr. Edwards, and he says that he is willing to serve. I don't know that I've had people in my district complaining about the person who serves on this board. And I don't very seldom ever attend any of the PSA meetings, but Mr. Edwards says that he is willing to serve, and I will make that motion to reappoint him to that board.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion on Mr. Edwards' appointment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Ms. Willis, do you vote?
Oh, I was
Okay.
writing. Sorry. Yeah, Sam's a good member.
SIFA Board appointment, that's Ms. Kaiser's appointment.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion we reappoint Ms. Kaiser. I'm assuming you'll still serve.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well.
Aye.
12F, Bishop Martin, you want to briefly talk about that?
Sure. Item F is a board appointment to Keep Southwest Virginia Beautiful. This is, as I mentioned earlier, an appointment that traditionally has not been made by the board. It was not in our appointment books. Beforehand, we had Mr. Eugene Mullins, and before that, Lester served on that, and when Ms. Teresa inquired on this. So what we're looking at on this is generally composed of the litter control officers throughout the Southwest Virginia region. And if it's the board's desire to do so, I have spoke with Mr. Bo Dotson, and he would be willing to serve on this if the board so chose.
Yeah, and in my time, I don't remember us ever addressing this.
We've
I think
never
it was just
done this
handled
one
from the
before.
Waste Authority.
But I make a motion that we appoint Mr. Dotson to that.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well. That brings us then to 13. Mr. Peters, do you want to take that back over?
Okay. As I said, this year in October, we start this new contract that we just approved.
Is that left out of our pack?
I don't see it.
I prepared this morning, actually, so.
And last year, we ran into an obstacle because they realized they weren't hitting us for the fuel surcharges. We didn't have to back pay, but we had to raise our rate because we were now taking on more responsibility to pay for the trash bill. And in some cases, for the commercial, we have like 2, maybe 3 commercial haulers that bring trash, and they may wander into other counties and come back through our county. So and I personally called the 2 I knew of and told them about the situation. I also told them this is gonna come up next year in October when there's a new contract. The disposal prices and these prices have been locked into a 5-year contract, and that's up come October, and we knew we were gonna get hit. Because like everything else out there, inflation's hit us all. It's hit the county. I think Mr. Barton's had these electric bills come into the county and these fuel costs. He didn't get to go back and say, no, I'm not paying this. We had to pay it. It's a bill. This is a bill, and all I'm saying is we try to do best by the citizens, and we cover most of this trash for our residents in the general fund. So in this case, I'm just saying why we shouldn't carry anymore, and especially if it's two businesses, they can pass that, for the one rate, it's involved commercial trash. Why, they can pass that on to their customers. We need to be staying ahead of that, because otherwise we run into a situation where we're now substituting those two businesses, or subsidizing those two businesses. And we even could be subsidizing to the point when they bring trash into the county, we're paying for that as well. Because you can't, our guys down at the transfer station aren't gonna dive in the back of these trucks and find out, oh, this one came from this road in Russell County or whatever. These, when they do their runs, they go to wherever they're picking up and whatever is convenient. The other key thing with this is we, for the commercial rate at least, we're lower than the other two counties, so that's gonna encourage them to pick up more anyway. If we raise this, we will be at the same level the other two counties, if we raise the commercial at least. So, and for residential, who we run into there, that would be like if you did your roof, and they're not gonna pick that up at your house, you're gonna have to pay to, you're gonna have to haul it down there, and you're gonna have to pay going across the scale. That's where that residential rate comes in. So, I recommend we raise our rate for residential to 50, and then our commercial and mine waste to 60. The tires, we can leave the same at $80, because we're doing okay in tires.
Well, really the question on the agenda is to schedule a public hearing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I make, yeah, you're right. So I make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for this.
We can advertise those rates then?
Yes.
you won't have anything else?
And advertise those rates I mentioned.
And another factor is that we stand a chance of paying, or going in the hole of
Yes.
what we pay to have it hauled off to what we collect for them dumping their trash.
Yeah.
We end up going in the hole because what
Yes.
they're paying is less than what we have to pay.
Yes, if we
So the
raise
county-
we
yeah.
raise the rate, that means when we will be reimbursed by that company
Yeah.
for what it costs. And it's just smart business to me. I don't like having to raise it. It's just the fact that that's what the life we live right now.
So you have a motion?
Motion.
Yes.
Do you want to, so you want to schedule?
Do
it
we
for
have a
the-
lot of residential?
Not a
It's
great
not a
deal of
lot.
residential through the
I
transfer
wonder if we
station.
could leave the residential at 45.
We will, whatever the pleasure of the board would be on that
Well, I
first
mean, you
year.
could advertise it for 50, but you could always move it back to 45 if we don't have much residential.
It could be, because we anticipate the cost being $51.47 based on current fuel prices we're seeing right now. And again, that could fluctuate higher or lower based on
Right.
actual
Probably
fuel
this
costs.
summer it'll
but-
get a little bit higher.
And that's all possible, what you're requesting. I'm not, we cover the rest of the residential, but typically the people taking stuff to the transfer station that are residential, it'll be like they just roofed their house, a bunch of shingles and
Well, no,
stuff.
I took some the other days, $8.
Yeah, and stuff. There may be a few other than that, but that's
I
up to
said,
you
thank
guys.
you very much.
So you want to advertise, we advertise it, and then we can discuss it more when it's,
Okay, let's make a motion then to
Advertise
Yeah.
advertise. Did you make the motion?
yeah.
I don't want to do a period, but that's me. So
Did you
got
make a motion
You got
for a
second?
public hearing?
Is there a
Ron,
second?
I'll second the motion that we have a public hearing.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
A no for me, Madam Clerk.
Well, we're just asking for a public hearing. It doesn't mean that we're going to
Correct.
keep these rates.
And
the same.
so, okay, that brings us to item 14A, the adoption of the budget amendment that we advertised and had a public hearing on earlier. Is there any motions or discussion on that?
Do we have to vote on each one of these
Yes,
separately?
You will.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I make a motion that we pass the budget amendment,
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
2022.
Any other discussion or questions or concerns? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
As well.
I'll say nay,
On the budget amendment,
yes.
okay. Board of Supervisors salary ordinance. Any discussion or questions on
Now, I
that?
thought you needed 3 motions on this,
It'll be the actual fiscal year 24 motion that we'll have, 24
It's-
budget, we'll have to split into 3 motions, so.
okay,
It's item D in that, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
I'll make a motion
On
for
B,
the.
salary ordinance?
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
As well. The bonus ordinance, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we adopt the bonus ordinance and set the limit at $500, like it's,
Is there a second?
I'll sec,
You gonna second it, Peggy?
yeah, I'll
Go ahead.
second
Any other
it.
discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
As well.
got a question for the attorney, though.
Sure.
So that's, well, that motion's carried, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so who does this apply to?
This applies to Dickinson County officers and employees. So anybody that's under, I guess, Dickinson County Board of Supervisors, as well as it would apply to social services, it would apply to behavioral health, it would apply to our agencies as well.
Okay, and I guess I would just say this, Mr. Barton, you probably need to notify them of that.
I can share a copy with those.
Does it apply
Yes, sir.
for PSA, or is that a separate entity?
It would be PSA as well,
It would.
I
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I had on that.
So that takes us to 14D.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is the one that we'll need to split into, there'll be 3 motions for the general fund budget, and then we'll have a motion for Cole Road and E911, so.
Okay, I'll make the motion for the first one to remove DSS budget from our general budget
I'll
for our
second that.
first vote.
All those in favor, please say aye. I abstain on that, Madam Clerk.
And motion for number 2 is to approve our, we've approved the DSS portion first. I make a motion that we approve the DSS appropriations for fiscal year 24 budget, which is $7,975,366.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Abstain from me, Madam Clerk. And any other motions?
Number 3, I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 24 general appropriation budget, which is $21,927,869, which is the budget without DSS.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Applause for Mr. Barton.
Glad to get there.
You've done a lot of good work on this, Larry,
Glad
as
to get
always.
here.
Balanced budget, fiscally sound.
We'll have 2 more.
Appreciate it very much. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
I'll be nay.
On the whole budget?
Yeah, no, overall budget, yes.
4-1 on the overall budget, Madam Clerk. And so we have a budget. Very good. That brings us to item 15.
Mr. Chair, we have 2 more motions on
we
that.
have
Why
2
don't we
more
split
on that.
Do
Oh,
we
I'm
have
sorry.
to do
Okay.
the
I'm sorry
Cole
about
Road,
that.
guys?
We have the Cole.
Forgive me.
I make the motion to approve the fiscal year 23 coal and gas road improvement budget fund, which is $2,850,500.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Give me,
1 more.
too quick there.
One more, and I'll make that motion to approve the fiscal year 23 E911 budget, which is $1,016,935.
I'll second it.
Questions? Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well.
Woohoo, did we get them all?
That's got it. Thank you all.
Brings us to item 15, reversion of funds. Mr. Barton?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a housekeeping type item that we have to do each June. The balances in each of the accounts, the unexpended funds that cannot be carried forward. This gives us authorization to roll them back into the general fund at June 30th, 2023 as we do the closeout. So,
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve this memorandum.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Well, item 16, Mr. Barton, care to elaborate? please?
again, another housekeeping item. We have to do this each December and each January. This would just give me authorization to pay the normal expenditures for, through June 30th, 2023. That allows us to continue the closeout process of the current fiscal year by doing so.
Any questions or motions?
I'll make that motion to approve the expenditures through June 30th.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Takes us to item 17.
Mr. Chair, item 17 is a use of funds agreement. This is the same document that you had before you approximately 3 months ago, that we had an agreement with the Board of Supervisors, the IDA, and the Dickinson County PSA to use the additional coal severance funds received to do the sewer infrastructure for the sewer lift station in Forest, Maine at the rehabilitation project on Red Onion. This agreement is going to be with the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors, the Industrial Development Authority, and the Clintwood Town Council, because with the 10% additional coal severance funds received by the town, those funds will be used to upgrade the pumps in the Georges Fork pump station as part of this project. And so you all will be the first ones to approve this. It'll also have to be approved by the IDA and the town council. So same agreement that you approved previously with the PSA. I'll try to answer any questions.
We approve it, Mr. Chair.
Second?
Sam, second.
Sorry.
I'll second it.
Any discussion or
Because I'm on
questions?
PSA.
Yeah, okay, I'll second.
A motion and second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well. Moving this thing along, item 18 with the addendum.
8 o'clock?
Do you have any motions in regard to item 18 and A and B?
I make a motion, we go into closed session pursuant to Code Section 2.2-3711A, 1, personnel, all departments, and 2, economic development, 2.2-3711A5 is economic development update.
Second.
I'll second it.
Any other additions or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well. We will now be in closed
Did we
session.
cover that?
and the line was so long at Hayside Quarry.
All right, we're now back in open session. Is there a certification of the closed session, closed meeting portion of the meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we only discuss those issues that we previously went into closed session for.
I've botched that. A certification of our closed meeting. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
What's that?
Any discussion? Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Ms. Sluss?
Yes.
Ms. Kaiser? Mr.
Yes.
Peters?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes for me as well, Madam Clerk. Are there motions coming out of closed
Yes,
session?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we hire Rhonda Hill to the full-time position in rental assistance.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion to hire for.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. As well. Any other motions coming out of closed session? All right. That brings us to item 21, supervisor comments. Ms. Willis?
I don't think I have any. It's been a long meeting and a productive meeting.
Thank you. Ms. Sluss?
I wish everybody a happy 4th of July. God bless America. And be careful, safe travels. Thank you if you tuned in and watched.
Thank you. Ms. Kaiser?
Well, I agree with both of them. I think like Ms. Willis, we've had a productive meeting. We've all fairly discussed all of our matters calmly and respectfully to each other tonight. I appreciate that, and I wish everyone a happy 4th, and get out and enjoy fireworks and picnicking and all of that for the weekend.
Great.
Go ahead. I'm good.
Echo what three ladies said on our board, reiterate my praise for Mr. Barton on this budget.
Yes.
A lot of man hours in there. Reiterate again my praise for Ms. Cronkite on closing some major economic development projects. Meant to ask Larry during the consent agenda piece on the splash pad update. It will be open this summer, I believe.
It will be.
It will be open, or I'll be in jail, maybe both. But we do believe that it will be open this summer. It would have been wonderful to have it by the 4th, but it is what it is. It's good work by the board tonight, and I'm glad we're out of here a little earlier than I frankly thought we would be. But I wish everybody a blessed and happy holiday, and all of our families in Dickinson County. Hope you get out and enjoy our beautiful county. So,
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we adjourn.
thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.